G'day, I'm Cameron, and today on our second episode of How to Make Stuff with Cameron, we're going to be building a home for this guy. It's my pet lizard Jub Jub. He's a bearded dragon, and he's been running around the carpet, pooing everywhere, fighting himself in the mirror and the bin, so I want to do something about it, get him off the ground. I'm also going to be teaching you some stuff about a router. It's a very useful woodworking tool, so I'm going to teach you a bit about that. I'm also going to teach you some woodworking joints, so hopefully you find it interesting and somewhat enjoyable as well, so sit back and enjoy. Okay, what I've got here is some of the tools that I've used to make this actually happen. Now, how I'm going to get these things to hold together is using dowel joints, which basically, you get these little wooden plugs, hopefully out of focus, and basically put a bit of glue on them. You tap them into like a pre-drilled hole, which I've obviously done this one before, to show you. But I use PVA glue. PVA glue works very nicely. And what I've done to make the job easier for myself, so I've made this jig, basically. Now, I'm just using the clamps so that it'll sit nicely. I've just got a bit of wood, cut it off the end, and made it the same size, and drilled the holes where I want, so that my drill bit will go after it's hit the tape, is the desired depth that I want it to go in, to be a little bit over half the dowel, so that you don't worry about it not going in far enough, and it'll still be strong on the other side because it won't go in too far. Now, obviously I've used a drill. I've used a power saw to cut all these things, but you may want to use a tenon saw. I've used the first one just to get the initial cut, so I had a length for all of them, and then I marked them out from the original one. Okay, what we're going to do here is show you how to do the dowel. As I said before, we're using the jig I've made, which is just a bit of scrap. Now, I'm only going to go down to the line just there. That way I get the exact depth that I want, and this should keep it nice and nice and vertical. That's the first hole done. One thing I should have mentioned earlier, but you want to take into consideration is you want to have all of them sort of, like if you want it to look a bit more professional, you want to make sure the grain looks like it's running the same way on all of them. Like this one, it's very similar to the first one I've drilled, in the way that the holes are both going the same way and the grain sort of looks very similar. So just a little tip to make it look a little bit more professional. You also want to always keep in mind of what direction, like if the other end is the same as this one, because that's pretty much going to fuck up that workpiece, and you don't want that. Okay. Now, as you can see, we've got two nice holes exactly where we want them, that go straight in and don't come off on an angle at all. So this is perfect for what we, for the dowels. Now, I'm done on the other end as well. Now I've only got to do the other two. Now that we've done all of these, we're going to do these. Now, I want it to be on the top of all of them, just give it a bit more strength and sort of have a nice flush top. So we'll do it. Now, as you can see, we're going to do the same on this side over there as we've already done over there. We're going to make sure that they're on the same side as well, because it's bracing the top and the bottom. Okay, one thing I just tried, and it worked quite well, was once I drilled the first hole, I put a dowel in it to help secure my little jig here to make it, get a more accurate second hole, and it worked quite nicely, so I thought I'd share it with you. Okay, now we're going to do what I've been told is the shoulder joint. I'm not too sure if this is the actual proper name for it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, now after marking out the outline of the joint with your chisel, you just give it a light, push it in and give it a little wiggle. Now what I'm going to do is actually start taking wood out of it. So what I want to do, actually I missed this bit here, let's give that a light tap. You start just maybe, quarter of a centimetre, give it a little tap, make it crack, and then move along.
then what you do, you go along the bottom again. See, I haven't taken all the material out there, so I'm going to have to carry on a bit further down. Now all you do is continue this process until you get to the very end, and I'll show you me finishing it and how you do that. I'm just going to finish off this joint. If you notice, you actually might have noticed it's a different piece of wood. That's because I accidentally finished the other bit before I thought about taping it, so I'll do it on this piece here. Now what I've done is I've made sure I've gone all the way around again, just to make sure everything's going to come off smoothly, and just wiggle it around. Gonna push in there a bit and sort of work it along. Just want to pry it up real gently without breaking anything too much. Sometimes you'll stuff up on joints, but you know, it's all part of the learning curve. I'm going to come this way now. Let's wiggle it. Let's get rid of that little bit in the inside there. And that's how it should look. We'll just do a test fit with our piece just to see if it's close. We might need to take a little bit more off the back wall. So I'll just go like this, and just shave a little bit off. Sorry, there's my phone. We'll just shave a bit more off here. And we test it again, see how she goes. And you basically got to repeat this process till you're happy with how it looks. And I'm pretty happy with how that fits now. So that'll do.
Okay, now we get to my least favourite job. It's having to cut big sheets of plywood. Now, I'm using my homemade table saw, and also to support it, I've got my chair that happens to fit quite nicely the same height as it, so hopefully this will keep it nice and stable for me. I won't film it because I'm probably going to fuck up. Now I'm glad I didn't film it because it did sort of come out a little bit ugly, but it's not too bad. But one of the best things you can know about woodworking is you got to hide your ugly bits. So basically this bit's going on the back, and the bit that the factory's cut is going to go on the front, so they won't even know anyway. I'm going to router the edges. Now I'm going to show you how to set this up. Basically what a router is, it's a rotating tool that will carve out an edge, or you know, a slot, a dado, on whatever workpiece you want it to. In this situation, just to make it look pretty, but I'm going to show you how to set this thing up. Now when using a router, you might want to wear these two attractive bits of equipment, as well as probably shoes. Big head visor stops shit getting up your nose and your eyes. It's worthwhile. And earplugs. I personally like these ones with the thing because honestly, if you're talking to people doing this kind of stuff, you've got to take them in and out a lot of times, so it's worthwhile if you do it, you know, have to take them out a lot. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I set the depth. Now this router is pretty much the same as it would be from the factory, but all I've done is I've got a bit of steel bar that I got out of a shopping trolley I found. Ground one side of it flat and put it through the two factory holes, which actually, because it came with a slider itself to sort of, it was basically just to have like an end stop. They would fit through these two holes, and you can tighten it with these nuts on either side. Now how I've got it secured to the board is I've got two small screws that attach it to this thing here, and then two big screws that I've chopped the ends off on both sides that are sitting above these, which sort of, they act like grub screws, so they screw down and they clamp this here closed. Now it still works the same as it would from the factory, it's a little bit, you know, it's got something holding it. Now to slide things down, it's got two spring-loaded rods, and to clamp it, you just do that. Now your little bit goes in here, you just, to undo that, all you do is there's a little locking thing on all of them, like where mine's over this side. But, you know, yours might be different, where you normally have a variable speed. You want to sort of, I don't know, I always do a test piece first to sort of figure out what speed I want. This is just a bit of scrap. Now this is how I normally slide it in to see if it's where I want it to be. You sort of just get it level and have a look.
Not my most accurate drilling, I will admit. To get a good smooth edge like this one on the router, instead of rough bits like that, you got to make sure you go the right way. Now, this router will spin in this direction because you can see by the way the blades are facing. The sharp edge will come this way. Anyways, so you always got to make sure, especially with corners as well, that you come into it and sort of follow along on this. You don't go this way because otherwise it'll grab it and rip it. So I just go in like that and just walk it on. I'll show you it, but you won't be able to hear me speak. Recheck it. No, I'm going to move that too. Just get that around everywhere. Just slide that in. That's square. It looks pretty damn good. And just to make sure I didn't fuck up. That looks pretty good. Okay, now I've got the two, like the complete sides done. I'm going to put them together and make sure they're square. Okay, now being a one-man show, I didn't really get to film me putting this together because it's all rush. Okay, I've had to put in 3 holes so we can have some heat lights. Basically how I've done it is I've used a string line, gone from the center here, I found the center by crossing this over with this to find the middle point, which is just here. And then I've gone from the middle point halfway through here and halfway through there to find the other 2 points. Okay, now we're going to look at how to putty. You can get it in different shades just to sort of match the wood. Now what I've done here is just taken a bit out with a chisel, got a screw in there and a hole. These are the most common ways you'll use putty. So what you want to do is make like a log of it. Sort of use your fingers to smoosh it in and try to wipe it away. And you want to make sure it's a little bit, sometimes it gets a bit dry if you leave it for too long. Okay, we sealed that one and now we can seal the last one. Now just scrape away with the chisel. And you're done. Okay, now I've finished doing the carpeting. I'm getting ready to put the fly screen in. Now I'm going to make it so it's removable by using these thin bits of wood that are the same width as the frame itself. Now what I'm going to be doing is putting this fiberglass down and then having it so that the outside edge is on this side and have it basically folded under and then screwed all the way down on these things here. I'm going to leave one side open for a door, which I'm in the process of making over there. But yeah, I'll get back to it once I've done a bit more. Okay, now this ended up being a little bit more difficult to do with just one person than I thought, but I did end up getting it in the end. So all I did was I started on the bottom, I put in the amount I wanted, like had a little bit of overhang so I can pull on it. I screwed it in, then I went up to the sides because I had a bit left over and sort of tucked that in, and then I went to the top and sort of by removing screws, pulling there and then tightening back up and stuff, I've managed to get it pretty tight. So we're going to do the same process for this back one here and the side one over there. And a slightly different one for the front. Okay, I've done the 2 doors using the dowel joints just like I have on most other places except for the bottoms and tops. I also do use dowel joints here, but I had to do them into the actual other piece, which I probably should have showed you because it was kind of unusual, but unfortunately I didn't bother taping it. I've also finished puttying all the cracks, like because I bought this, it was routed all the way up and down like you can see here. I had to putty here and here on both sides. Getting ready to paint it, all I have to do is cut out some bits, fit in the screen, but yeah, after I've done that I can paint everything, put in the locks and it should be done. Okay, now we've put the screens in, put the carpet in and given it a bit of a paint job. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad. Just go around the back and have a look there. I've got to put one more light in, but that's upstairs. So. Okay, this is the inside view of his cage. What I've done is I've gone to the beach and got some nice big logs and chopped them up with a Recipro saw. I've also cut the carpet in half so I can remove either half if he poos on it, because I've got to give it a wash with a hose. I've also got a little water bowl, a Jub Jub's crib sign on there, and I've got a little heat monitor that goes into the cage and lets me know the temperature, so that way I can turn off or on the lights depending on how hot the day is. Okay, to finish it off, I added some caster wheels down the bottom there. I also installed some light globes, 200 watt ones and a 45 watt one, that way sort of, you know, he's got a colder area of the cage if he wants to go there. I also installed some door locks to stop the doors swinging open, which are just at the top there. And the girlfriend added a plant to, you know, make it pretty. Thanks for watching our second episode of How to Make Stuff with Cameron. Next time we're going to be building a CNC router for under $150. We're also going to be talking about some ways you can cut and shape wood using various power tools and methods. Please remember to like and subscribe, it helps me out a lot, and I look forward to seeing you next time.